The meat and bones of the book really is examining the structure of the Church of Christ Scientist, I believe is what they call it. So Mark Twain examines the way of thinking itself isn't that bad, but Twain goes deep into examining the organization itself, and Mrs. Eddy, who is the founder of Christian Science, he goes deep into examining her. Starts by tearing apart the bylaws itself for the organization and revealing just how much of a stranglehold of control she has over the church, all the congregations, all its members. A few examples he gives. There are no preachers in the church. People aren't allowed to give sermons. They simply read from both the Bible and from Mrs. Eddy's book. They are allowed to apply for lectures, but the lecturer and the subject of the lecture must be chosen by Mrs. Eddy and the date arranged in advance. She is allowed to excommunicate anyone for any reason, no notice needed. She is allowed to dismiss any reader, not preacher, reader, for any reason, no notice needed. Twain also mentioned that Mrs. Eddy liked to copyright everything. Just want to mention the fun little difference between copyright law then and now, just from the few tidbits here and there of the specifics that Twain mentioned in the book. Standard copyright was 42 years at that time. Copyright law now is absolutely a mess of confusion, but there's one rule of thumb for books at least 100 years is the rule of thumb. I've also heard author's life plus 70 years for many things. It's confusing enough that there is a legitimate legal defense if you run afoul of copyright law that you had no reason to believe the thing you were using that violated copyright was under copyright. That's how confusing it is. Copyright law is an absolute hydra of confusion, and none of it's needed. Let's just go back to the 40-year system. Thank you, Disney. Twain also mentioned that there's only one book ever, at least in the UK, that has a perpetual copyright, at least at the time of Twain's writing. That book with a perpetual copyright is, drumroll, the Bible. That's just really funny to me. Twain also goes into all the ways that Mrs. Eddy makes money. One of the things he talks about is her book, which all Christian Scientists are required to keep. And he goes into the numbers of the number of congregations, the number of churchgoers, estimating the demand for that book and what that yearly printing contract to the print house would look like. As a published author himself, he says, in his expert opinion, yeah, printing costs for that book would be really cheap because it's something the print house can just work on anytime they have idle time, because they know there's always going to be demand. Mrs.